Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Marvel Legends Infinite Series, Odin series. We're having a look today at Avenging Allies Sentry. Much like the color yellow featured on Sentry's costume, Spot's got a little bit of yellow, a little egg on his face, as he said before that really it was only the Scarlet Witch and Captain Marvel that had the same head, or the same pieces, just alternate pieces, that all the other figures were required to build Odin. That is actually not necessarily true. Sentry, as you can see, comes with a pair of arms. And the Machine Man that we already had a look at also came with arms. And I'll show you guys the differences between the two. They're roughly about the same. But Sentry does come with an extra pair of arms. So depending on how you want to display them, I guess for that matter, if you were to able to... Really, technically, if you were to able to get... Well, I guess you'd have to get 3 figures to get 2 versions of Odin. But I was going to say you'd essentially still need the torso, and you would need the 2 extra legs, and then you could build a second Odin. But I'll show you the differences between these arms and the arms that came with Machine Man when we get this opened up. But package-wise, same package as all the other figures that we've looked at. Machine Man featured on the one side, and then we flip it around the other side, there is Sentry. On the back, a very, very brief read-up. These heroes fight to find their origins and discover their true identities. Other figures to be on the lookout down below, there's Marvel's Iron Fist, Avenging Allies Machine Man, Avenging Allies Sentry, Hawkeye, Thor, Captain Marvel, and Scarlet Witch. And then, well, again, you basically can build an Odin and a half. An Odin and a half. To check out more from Avengers, you can also go to www.hasbro.com/The Avengers. Spot's going to take a break and get this guy opened up. When we come back, we get a better look at Avenging Allies Sentry. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. So when it comes to Sentry, yes, in fact, he does come with another pair of hands, another pair of arms that you can add to Odin. And the arms are more... Well, let me bring in Odin. Let me keep you guys up to date where we are right now. There's Odin right there. This is Odin using the arms that came with Machine Man. You'll see one arm that came with Sentry is pretty much the same arm that we've already installed on the one side. The other arm, though, very distinctly different. This one arm is more armored up with the armor plating. This one is just the regular human arm. Though, really, depending on how you want, you could really just mix and match these. You have 2 unarmed arms, or you can have the armored up arms. I kind of really, for that matter, looking at the two, I kind of prefer this more so. Just my preference, but you could do either or. So moving those to the side and moving Odin out of the way, because technically we're not really adding anything to him just yet. I'm going to move him to the side. So, having a look at Sentry. Spot may or may not be correct by this, but what I'm about to say here, but I think Sentry was one of those figures that were slated for a release a while back as a fan favorite. Him along with, I think, Mohawk, Storm were one of the figures that were going to be released, and he just never got that release. And I guess until now. Which I always think is ridiculous when a company will take the time, and the costs I might add, to produce a mold that you see right here, while the body pretty much has been a reuse. If the head and stuff like that's been already tooled and you've already got the mold for it, why make it so heavily dependent on the fans to vote which one they should go with, when essentially you could just release them all? I know you could say cost-saving measures and stuff like that, but you know what? Sentry, from what I know, is a fairly popular character. I don't know why they wouldn't have just given us Sentry in the first place. Needless to say, though, I mean, it's a really neat looking figure. I'm really happy with it. He does have a removable cape, and I'm not sure why. The cape is also a little bit shinier in plastic than the top of what should have really been his cape. But you can take it and just unpeg it. Again, I'm not really sure why. Maybe at some point, I don't really read the comics relating to Sentry, but maybe, I don't know, maybe in the comics he does take his cape off and that would explain it. But he's also got a belt, which is the add-on piece. So as opposed to sculpting the lower torso with the belt attachment, they've simply given us another piece that clips in over top of the waist. Now the problem is, though, it makes it loose. I mean, I'd be inclined to probably just put a dab of glue right below it and just glue it into place, because I really don't need this sitting and flopping around. But on a couple of occasions already, I've had to snap the belt closed because it's wanting to come loose and come off. So I just don't, I wish they had not given us this as a loose piece. I wish they had actually just molded it or put an adhesive or something behind it that they could have just affixed it. But you have the Sentry logo down below. Nice gold paint. It's pretty clean. There's some areas where the blue is kind of creeping out, but for the most part it's pretty clean. I like his face. I really like his face. It's got a great look to it. It's also a darker flesh color too, which normally I would say wouldn't work for a character, but for some reason works really well with this particular character. His hair is sculpted also very nicely. Yellow, well, yellow, we all kind of know the story when it comes to yellow plastic versus yellow paint. The two tend not to always come together. Inner bicep areas, torso, legs don't really go with the lower legs, the arms, and the shoulders. It's like two different yellows going on here. I like the inclusion of the gold, the almost this orange over top of the yellow. It just kind of brings more out to it that I wish it had been carried over to some of the other areas, especially like the legs. The legs look vacant of paint versus what the thighs end up having. Get the cape once again and just clip that into place. Something else that I may just potentially glue the cape in. I mean, the cape stays in. It doesn't come off, you know, where you have to be worrying about it. But I just would probably affix it in there and leave it be. When it comes to his articulation, well, Sentry does have a ball joint, a ball hinge joint in the neck. So his head does move up and down, moves left and right. Kind of looks like Heath Slater. Is it Heath Slater from WWE? I don't even know if he's still wrestling, but kind of has that Heath Slater look. Shoulders are on a ball and hinge joint. They rotate out, forward and back. Swivel at the bicep, double bend in the elbow, and a hinge, a pin and hinge joint in the arm. In other words, the hand can rotate, but it also hinges back and forth as well. When it comes to his torso, his upper torso crunches, he's a swivel at the waist, which I think also if I glued it, I could still essentially swivel at the waist, which I might just end up doing that. See right there, see how the belts actually come loose? We'll just unpeg this for a second. See, moving it too much, the peg has come loose from the belt. So a little more problematic. And then luckily, he does have the new articulation when it comes to his legs. So his legs, you don't have to swivel to move. They just move forward, back, out, extremely easy. Swivel at the thigh, nice double bend at the knee area there. Swivel at the boot, and a hinge and rotation in the foot. If any figure deserved a flight stand, I would probably say Sentry would here. He's a very clean figure. No, still problematic when it comes to the yellow. Yellow, just, I don't know what it is. Hasbro and yellow. They're notorious for this when it comes to Transformers as well. Just peg that into place. Because it just seems like yellow, they can't decide what yellow they want to use. Sometimes they want to use just the straight plastic yellow. Sometimes they decide to paint the yellow. But whatever they decide to do, they just really have to be consistent with all the rest of the figure. Other than that, I mean, like the great likeness, great sculpt on his face. He's very clean in the face. I love the sculpt in the eyes. Sentry could maybe be my second favorite. Now, I haven't opened up the other figures yet, but he could be my second favorite. I still love Machine Man, but Sentry's got a lot going on that's good about this figure. Sentry, I'm also going to give him an 8.5, which seems consistent with what I've been giving the other figures, but an 8.5 to Sentry. Today's Toy Spot, we were continuing our looks at the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Odin Wave, and we're looking today at Sentry. And as a side note, Spot apologizes for saying that he didn't have new pieces. We clearly saw that it had the same arms. One arm at least, the other arm was a little bit different, but anyways. Thanks for watching as you always do, guys. Stay tuned, Spot's got more videos, of course, heading your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.